to the Michelle G Show. I'm your host, Michelle G, and I have to tell you that I am super excited about this opportunity that I have and the fact that I'm able to be on this platform. This is my first show, so today there would normally be a guest, but today I just wanted to let you guys know what to expect and explain to you what the Michelle G Show is all about. It's all about, just like my logo says, the Michelle G Show, an eye-opening, life-changing experience. It's going to be a platform where you can learn, where you can be motivated, where you can be encouraged. We may laugh, we may cry, you never know what's going to happen, but I'm here for it all. We're going to have different things that's going to take place on the show, and I'm super excited. So you guys can catch my show. I'm going to get this out of the way. You're going to be able to catch my show the fourth Monday of every month from 5 p.m. to 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, right here on the Regina Sunshine Global Network. Media, let's connect on my Facebook. You can find me at Michelle G, and that's G-E-E. You can find me on Instagram at the @, all lowercase, Michelle without the E on the end, _G, and Twitter, the @ BeInspiredMG, and email me at BeInspiredMichelle, the letter G, gmail.com. There is going to be an opportunity because I'm trying to build the audience, and I want you guys to come and be a part of the live taping and be a part of my studio audience. And if you would like to be a part of my studio audience, email me at BeInspiredWithMichelle, the letter G, @gmail.com. Now, what is the Michelle G Show all about? It's all about life experiences. It's all about having people on the show who I interview, who can give you inspiration, give you direction, instruction on different things, and just from the interview. Now, the Michelle G Show, like I said earlier, I'm super excited about this because this opportunity itself. Just to give you a little bit of background from me, it started with my Blog Talk Radio show, which I still have, but it started from that. And I felt that it was time for you to see the face behind the voice. So an extension from that is this show here, the Michelle G Show. I'm trying to keep my emotions together because I am a crier. That's why I told you in the beginning, I may laugh, I may cry. So I'm trying to keep my emotions together, but this is a real exciting time for me because I know that this was created, God created this platform because there's something that people out there need to hear, and He's chosen me to be the one to voice that for them. So, with that being said, that's just a little bit of what you can expect from the Michelle G Show. Now, moving on just a little bit, I am a new author. This is my book, Baggage, Drop the Weight. And this book, we're not going to go into the detail about it right now because I want to come back after the small break and tell you all about it, because to break it down is going to take a few moments. So, and I want to give a chance to give an ample amount of time to explain what the book is about. And after I explain it, you'll understand why. Because there's something that's going to take place at the end of every show that explain why I had to go into detail about this book. So I'm going to take a quick break, and when I come back, we're going to talk about Baggage, Drop the Weight. And we're back. Okay, before the break, we were talking about me being a new author, which is a whole nother experience in itself. And my book is Baggage, Drop the Weight. Now, to give you a little bit of background about this book, I wrote the book. It's not a long book. It wasn't meant to be long. It's just meant to be effective. I wrote the book a few years ago But it wasn't until just recently that God allowed me to, it was time for me to publish it. Now, the purpose of this book, like I said, it's meant to be effective. The purpose of this book is to bring insight, which is another reason that I said that I named this show, the Michelle G Show, Eye-Opening and Life-Changing. It's to open up your eyes about different things. And just to talk about it a little bit in depth, there's 6 small chapters in this book. Like I said, they're not long. And they talk about things that I had to deal with, that I was carrying around. And at one point in my life, I was carrying all 6 of these things at one time. We're going to talk, this book talks about your past. It talks about relationships. It talks about people, your children, unforgiveness, and titles. And the titles, everybody may not have that baggage, but that was one that I had to carry. Now, what the book explains is how these things end up becoming baggage in your life. And the reason this is important is because at the end of every single show, we're going to have a baggage claim moment. And I wanted to tell you about that. Baggage claim moment, I want you guys, when you realize, after going through and listening to the show, and after I explain a little bit more about the book, when you realize that you've been carrying something, that there's something that you need help letting go of. I want you to take the opportunity. You can email it to me. You can email me at the email I gave you at the beginning of the show. Just email me that thing that you are carrying around that you no longer want to carry. And I'll talk about it. I'm going to pull it from this box here. I'm going to do that a little bit later. I'm going to pull it from that box there. Yours may not be that month, but whatever one I pull out that box, I'm going to discuss it. And if I don't have the answer, then I'll seek the answer. Or I'll get the information you need so that you can find the answer. Because my goal is, through this show and every outlet that I get and every opportunity I get, my goal is to help you release those things. Because we don't realize that carrying these things have all kinds of side effects. It affects your health. It affects your life. It affects the people who you love, the people who are actually in your circle. It's not good to carry those things around, and God never intended for us to carry them around. That's why he said, cast your cares upon me, for I care for you. We're not equipped to carry those things. And that's what the premise of this book is about. And that's why it's so important for me to take this few moments to explain to you why I'm having that section at the end of every show. Now, the first chapter that I talk about in the book, I talk about your past. We all have them. We all have a past. Some of our pasts are good. I don't know about it, but mine wasn't so good. But I carried it, and I carried it for a very, very long time. And that chapter is called No Undos and No Redos. Have you ever been in a place where you're carrying something and it's something that happened years ago, something that you may have done or that may have done that may have happened to you? Now, for me, it was my past. My past, I always tell people, my past is kind of dark. There was a time that because of some of the things that I was going through in growing up, my childhood wasn't perfect, and because of some of those things, it caused me when I got older to go in the wrong direction. I turned to drugs. I was promiscuous, and all of that just. When I did come into the realization of Christ and came into Christ, I couldn't let those things go. Those things stuck to me. And I realized that I was trying to self-medicate myself with drugs. And believe it or not, self-medicate yourself with sex. That was me. I did it. And for the longest time, I could not let that go. And when God called me to ministry, I battled with it. I battled with it because I felt that I was not worthy. And I still feel that there's no good thing that I have done to deserve to carry his word. But he placed it in me from my mother's womb. And what I had to realize was that he had already forgiven me. Yeah, I did those things. But I can't go back redo them. I can't go back and undo. So why was I still carrying it? That my past held me back from so many opportunities, because in my mind, I thought that people could look at me and tell what I had done. They had no idea, but they could tell. I thought that they can look at me and tell some of the things that I had done. And I know that there's someone out there listening right now that is battling with some things that you've done. Let me tell you, and this male or female, once you have asked God to forgive you from your heart and you have a repentant heart, it's done. He throws it in the sea of forgetfulness, never to remember it anymore. And that's what it took for me. It took God to speak through one of his vessels to tell me, I've already forgiven you. I just need you to forgive yourself. And that was one of the hardest things I ever had to do. I reminded God, God, you sure? You sure you want me to do that? You remember when I did. Now this is God who knows all, who sees all, hears all, who I didn't hide from when I was doing it because he saw me. I'm reminding him, you remember when I did this back in so-and-so, you remember I was the one that was there. You remember that? Because that's how heavy carrying my baggage of my past was to me. But I finally had to let it go because I realized that I wasn't serving anybody, doing any good, carrying it. And it began to reflect, for lack of a better word, I began to lash out at other people who were around me that had nothing to do with my past, didn't even know anything about my past. But that's how I would lash out. That's the first chapter in Baggage Dropped Away. My past, because that was the one thing that I battled with so much. And every now and again, it'll pop back up in my head when I get ready to, when God elevates me to another level. The enemy will throw it back in my head to try to remind me. But I know now that he can't get me with that anymore because I'm delivered from that. I'm forgiven for that. And I've forgiven myself for that. The next thing that I talk about in the book is relationships. I may not get a chance to go over every single chapter, but I just want you all to see why it's important for me to have that moment at the end of every show. Because there are people out there that are carrying things. And trust me, when I tell you, like I spoke of earlier, that I carried all of these things at one time, all at once, it affected my health. My hair was popping off. It affected my household. And it's me and my son at home. But he got the bad end of the stick because he would get me lashing out at him for things that he had nothing to do with. Now that second chapter that I talk about is relationships. I know that there are people out here who can relate to relationships you've been in a relationship with and it wasn't the right relationship. And you've beaten yourself up about it. You've tried to fix it. You may be in a relationship right now, you're trying to hold on. You know in your heart it's not the right place, it's not the right person, but you're still trying to hold on. Why? Because you don't want to start over. Nobody else is going to love me. Because these are all things that I felt. Nobody else is gonna be there for me. Well, is it better to be with the person that you're with now and be miserable just for the sake of having somebody? Or is it better to go ahead and deal with the hurt and walk away, cry it out, deal with the hurt, heal you, and then let God send you who he has for you? Because see, that chapter is called, Is It Ordained by God? It's better to wait for who God has for you instead of settling. I settled for many years. And I don't know if it was because of my past, which was tied into that. You see how all this stuff kind of ties in together? Because I felt like I didn't deserve better. I felt like I didn't deserve any more. Then I settled for what I had. But then it took years and it took a while, and I stayed in it and I stayed in it and I stayed in it because I felt like if I left, nobody would want me. But what I realized was you would never be the right woman or man for the wrong woman or man. Never. No matter how much you change. And the only thing you end up with by staying in a relationship that is not meant for you, that is not with the right person, when you do leave, that person's insecurities then become your insecurities. And you're left looking in the mirror wondering, well, what was wrong with me? What did I do wrong? And when you see that person with the next person, you're trying to fix yourself up like that person, thinking, okay, if I do this, maybe he or she will come back. And I can say that, and I use those examples because, hey, I did it. That was me. Trying to change me, thinking that that would make them come back. And when they did come back, and they did, and I accepted them back, nothing changed. Nothing changed. It was good for a while, and then it went right back. Why? Because his issues weren't my issues. I had to realize that he cheated and did what he did because he had issues. Not because of me, but it caused my insecurities. It caused me to look in the mirror and look at myself different, like I wasn't enough. And I don't know who out there is listening, but honey, understand, whether you are male or female, understand, you will be enough if it's the right person. And it's not easy to wait. It's not easy to wait. Especially when, and I use this as an example, when you've had ice cream and you know you like ice cream, it's hard to go without ice cream. And I just use that as an example. You can read between the lines. Because exactly what you're thinking I'm saying, that's exactly what I'm saying. It's hard. But I would rather wait and bypass Baskin Robbins with those 31 flavors and go home and wait until God sends me the flavor that he created just for me. Because then I know that's never going to run out. Because see, God created him for me. It's never going to run out. And every time I eat it, it's going to taste as good as it was the first time. That's what waiting on God does. That's what waiting for the one he created and ordained for you does. It's just as good the first time. If you eat it 10 years later, it's going to taste just like the first time. Because it was yours from the beginning. When God thought of you, remember now, he knows your end. So he already know who he has for you. So when he was forming you, he knew you in your mother before you was formed in your mother's womb. So he already know who he had for you in everything. We're the ones who decide to take it on our own and do it our way. And it never works out. Remember, you will never be the right woman or man for the wrong woman or man. Never. I'm going to jump to, because I can feel myself getting a little bit deep in that. But with each one of these chapters, I'll give you a little bit about myself, because that's what it was based on. And just to take a break with that, before I go into the next few chapters, just to take a little break, I asked God, why did you allow me to write this book? Because I felt, now I don't want you to think that I don't carry anything. That's not realistic. I do carry things, but now I know the principles of how to drop it. Now I'm going to take a quick break, and when I come back, I'll go over a couple more of the chapters. Welcome back to the Michelle G Show. During the break, the producer let me know that there were some comments and some people who were watching, and I want to give you guys a shout out. Thank you for supporting Ramona Riggins. Thank you, Latoya Jackson, forgive me, Karima Conyers, and Sakithia Evans. Thank you guys for supporting. Continue to watch the show. All right, we were talking before the break about baggage, drop the weight. I think I'll have time maybe to go through the rest of these chapters because this is a 6-chapter book. It's 6 small chapters that's talking about, we went over the first 2, and it's talking about different things. And at the back of the book, I provide pages where you can drop your weight. Because after the purpose of it, and it's my prayer that after reading the chapters, you realize, wait a minute, I've been carrying some things. And it may not be the things that I'm talking about in the book. It may be your own personal things that you're carrying. But I provided pages in the back for you to start dropping your weight because that's what helped me, writing it down. A lot of people don't realize that writing is very therapeutic. If you can get it out, sometimes because you don't have the words to speak. You don't have the people that you need to speak to at the time. So just write it out. Take a pad and pencil and just write it out. And I provide that in the back of the book because I know how helpful it was for me. Now, for those of you who have children, this next chapter in the book was a hard one for me as well. If you know me, you know that I love my children. My baby, OD, I say it all the time, he is my heartbeat and my heartbeat and my headache at the same time. But I love him. But sometimes our children become baggage. And I want to clean that up because I don't want anybody to think that I'm saying that my son is baggage. It's not him, and it's not your child. It's their bad decisions. It's their wrong choices that you begin to carry as baggage. Now, I don't know how it was for you, but this is how it was for me. When he wouldn't make the right decision or one of my children wouldn't make the right choice, I began to blame myself, like, what did I do wrong? Lord, where did I do, I know I taught them better. I know I told them this, and this. Why they acting like they didn't have no kind of home training? And we begin to carry that, and we worry, and we stress about it. When are they going to get it? When are they going to catch hold? That chapter in the book is called You Laid the Foundation. And I had to come to the realization, and don't get me wrong, because there are still times that I think, okay, Lord, did he get it? There's some times that you're going to be reminded of it. But understand, as long as you have laid that foundation for your children, that solid foundation based on the Lord and based on his word, you've done your part. What I was reminded of and what God reminded me of is that I had a process. Remember that path I told you about earlier? That was my process. So what makes me think that because I hold a title now, or because I raised him and expected them to do a certain thing, that they're not going to have to go through a process too. They can't live a life if they can't live an honest life if they've never really dealt with anything, if that makes sense. What I'm saying is, everything that I went through, even that past that I was so ashamed of, it's the reason why I'm on this stage today. Who I was is why I am who I am. Who I was back in the past, going from club to club, drinking and smoking, man to man, who I was made me who I am today. And now I can sit here and I can talk to you about it. And our children have to go through their processes just like we did. No, we don't want them to hit that big wall that we see them about to run into. And we don't want them to fall in that hole. Because when they fall in that hole, who do you think they're going to call on to dig them out? Either mama or daddy. And in my case, mama. But I had to learn that wasn't my fault, because I gave them the tools. When you've laid that foundation and you've given them the tools, it's up to them to take those tools and the things that you've given them and to run with it. As much as we want them to be saved and live a saved life and to do this, and this, we're not God. We can't save them. And at the end of the day, we have no heaven or hell to put them in. So lay the foundation and then rest in God that he's going to do exactly what his word tells us he's going to do. Raise up a child in the way that they should go. And when they are old, they will not depart. They may stray a little bit, but they're going to come back home. And that's what I hold on to. I've laid the foundation. He's going to come home. He's going to come on in. And I know that that's hard because we love our children. But we can't keep them in a bubble. They can't live in a bubble. They're going to make mistakes. They're going to get scraped. They're going to fall down, and it's okay. Mommy and daddy don't always have to be there to catch them. Let them fall sometime. Let them feel the pain of falling. Then maybe they'll learn, if they have wisdom, they'll learn, okay, I better not do that no more. That hurt. Because if we keep catching them, what are they going to learn? They're not. They'll know that, oh, I can do whatever I want to do, because you know what? Mama got my back. Daddy got my back. They're not going to let me get in. They're going to cover me. Cover them in prayer. Cover them with the blood of Jesus. That's your covering. But sometimes it takes tough love for some of them to realize, okay, I got to get this thing together. Now that's the third chapter. The fourth chapter is people. Okay. Now this one, and I'm hoping I don't get a little bit too excited with it, but this one is called It's Not Yours to Carry. Now I don't know how many people out there can relate to this, but again, I'm talking to you all from my experience, because that's what I put in the book. It's not yours to carry. And what I'm talking about is the thoughts and opinions of other people. For many years, I tried to be who people said I should be. I tried to change myself so much that I couldn't even recognize who I was, because I was trying to fit what they said I should be. But what I came to realize was, what somebody else feels about me or thinks about me is none of my business. And it's none of your business. Realize who you are. Seek God for who you are in him. And whoever God says you are, embrace it. Everybody's not going to accept it. There are going to be some people who are going to question it. Oh, who do they think they are? Who does she think she is? Who does he think he is? But remember, what they think about you is none of your business. Who did God tell you you were? Do you know how many times I overheard people say, who does she think she is that she can write a book? I'll tell you who I am. I'm Michelle G. I'm who God said I was. And I wrote the book because God said I could. He gave me the words, and he told me to write. So for those people, what I've learned to do is turn a deaf ear and a blind eye to the negativity. Because if you let negativity in, it'll consume you. And when you carry the thoughts and opinions of people, it is literally like carrying another person. And can you imagine if you already carrying so much already, life itself, life stuff happens. When you're already carrying all that and then to add a person on you carrying them, why does it matter? If God told you who you are, why does it matter what they say you are? And it's easier said than done. I admit it. Because I told you, I tried to change myself so much I didn't even recognize who I was. But I knew I wasn't being Michelle. Who you see right now, this is Michelle. This is who I'm comfortable being. I can be me better than I can be anybody else. I could be Michelle G all day long. Because that's who God said I am. So that 4th chapter in the book, it's not yours to carry. It's not yours to carry how people tell you should wear your hair. It's not yours to carry how people tell you should wear, what clothes to wear, what shoes you should wear, how you should speak. It's not yours to carry. It's theirs. So let them carry it. They feel like you should wear, let them wear it. Let them carry it. Because see, what I had to realize, I had to sit down and think, I said, well, you know what? So-and-so said this, and so-and-so said this. But the last time I checked, they didn't send no checks to pay my bills. They didn't write not one check to Santee Cooper to pay my electric, nor the city of Myrtle Beach to pay my water bill or my gas bill. So why should what they think or say matter? And if I want to wear a certain type of clothes, I didn't see them swipe no card to purchase them. So why should it matter? It took me years from being from a broken relationship, being drugged half my life, not even recognizing what love was because it wasn't wrapped up in pain, because that's how I identified love. It took all that time for me to finally love myself and to let someone come in and tell me that I should be somebody else. No, ma'am. No, sir. Let God tell you who you are, and you embrace who God says you are. And tune out that negativity. Tune out that negativity. Be who God told you can be. If he said write a book, write a book. If he said start a business, start the business. Take that leap. Take that step. Because your father told you you could. And if God be for you, who can be against you? Now I'm going to jump on to the next chapter. Why are you still holding it? This one is a tough one. It's a tough one because it's one of the hardest things that we have to do. Letting go of your past, yes, that's hard. Accepting your child's going to make their own decisions, that's hard. Letting go of people's opinion, that's hard. All of that is hard. But what I mean when I say, why are you still holding on to it? Why are you still holding it? It's unforgiveness. Now, don't get me wrong. That person did what they did. We're not belittling that. We're not disregarding it. Yeah, they did it. But if you're watching them and they're living their life, and you're sitting there miserable, why are you holding it? Why are you holding it? Yeah, it's hard to forgive. It's hard to forgive when you know they hurt you and you did nothing to deserve it. It's hard. But forgiveness is not for them. It's for you. You're sitting here holding all this stuff, making yourself sick, can't sleep at night, and they're living their life. They're moving on. They're doing this, you see them, and even when, I'll use church as an example. You're in church and you're holding all this stuff, and you're holding this stuff for the sister or the brother across the aisle, and they're over there praising, and you can't even praise the Lord because you mad. Because sister so-and-so did this, brother so-and-so did that. Why are you still holding it? Why? It may take time. Ask God to help you let it go. It's not worth it. It's not worth carrying that unforgiveness. Remember I said forgiveness is not for them. It's for you. It's for you to release that so you don't have to carry that burden anymore. And like I said, no, nobody's saying it didn't happen. Nobody's saying that it was right that it was done to you. No, it wasn't right. It wasn't. But why are you holding on to it? It's that unforgiveness is holding you back from so much more. It's holding you back from a joyous life. Can you imagine the joy you can have if you can go into church and look at sister or brother so-and-so and say, hey, how you doing? And when a praise break out, you can get up and freely praise and give God the praise because you finally let that thing go. And I want you to think about something. If that person actually, now you've been holding on to this thing for years. Now I'm talking about this because it was in my 30s. I had been holding on to something until I was in my 30s, my late 30s, almost my 40s, and I'm 46 now. It was in my late 30s that I finally let that thing go. That's how long I had been holding on to it. But think about this. If that person that you're holding this thing on for, you've been holding it for months, years, if they do acknowledge it, now they've moved on. You're the only one who's miserable by it. If they finally acknowledge what they did, or even give you an apology, would it change anything? No. So accept the fact that the apology you're looking for and the acknowledgement you're looking for, you just may never get it. You may never get it. And that's okay. You forgive. You forgive and let it go. Let it go. Because I realized when I was in my almost 40s, late 30s, that even after, when I finally let that thing go, an apology would have never changed me holding on to it. Let it go. For yourself. Your unforgiveness can keep you out of heaven. And I'm sorry. I battled through too much to let that keep me from getting through those gates. Can't do it. And wouldn't it be something if you let that keep you from the gate and you see them bypass you and they go in? Think about it. Let it go. Why are you still holding it? We're going to take another quick break and we'll be back in a few more moments. Excuse me. to the Michelle G Show. The producer has let me know about some other people who are commenting. I really thank you all for supporting Arden Gist. I thank you for supporting Walter Wickerson. Thank you. And Miss Clarissa, thank you so much for supporting. You guys remember now, I'm going to say this before because I know that at the end of the show, I'll forget. But you can catch my show every fourth Monday from 5 p.m. to 6 p.m. right here on the Regina Sunshine Global Network. Okay, we're going to go over this last chapter, and then I'm going to show you what the baggage moment is all about. Okay, that we're going to be having at the end of the show. I've already reached in my little box, and I pulled out a luggage tag that someone wrote something on that they wanted to discuss, and it actually talks about some of the stuff that I had talked about a little bit earlier, and I'm going to talk on it a little bit more. So we'll get to that in just a second. And the last chapter of the book is Remember Who Gave You the Title. That when we all have titles in our lives, mothers, professional title, whatever it is that you're, at your job. For me, the title, I'm an elder. I don't know if I mentioned that in the beginning of the show, but I am an elder. And in ministry, sometimes we forget who gave us our titles. To know me, you'll know that I'm really laid back. I was really happy at the door. I really wanted to usher. As a matter of fact, after I finished my initial sermon, I tried to go back to the door and usher, but my leader told me, God moved you from there. Come on up here. Because I was comfortable there. This is not something that I asked for. I'm grateful, and I'm humbled, and I thank God that he saw in me what I didn't see in myself, and he placed it in me from my mother's womb. So I'm grateful for that. But I like to tell people, especially in ministry, because God has put us over people's souls. That's nothing to play with. It's very serious. Remember who gave you the title. The pulpit is not a place, it's not a performance stage. I'll put it that way. We're not there to preach what the people want to hear. We're there to preach and teach what God gave us. So sometimes they're not going to get with you because you're preaching the unadulterated word of the Lord. And some people can't get that. As long as you're doing what God told you to do and remembering, because see, if you're doing what the people want you to do and saying what the people want you to say and putting on a performance every Sunday, Monday, whenever it is, then how is God getting the glory? In everything I do, I say, God, I want you to get the glory, even in this. Because if you're not getting the glory, then I need to sit down somewhere. Because it's only by your grace that I'm even up here. I always pray, God, keep me humble. So about the titles, whatever your title is, even if it's on your job, don't get the title of manager or supervisor or CEO and forget that you didn't begin there. And start treating the people who were on the level that you used to be on as less than. Remember who gave you the title. And people will respect you in your position. We shouldn't take this thing lightly. And like I said, I always relate it back to church because I am an elder and that's who I am to my core. God gave me this title. And in everything I do, he's got to get the glory. In writing the book, I let you know that God gave me that. This platform, God gave me this. He did it, not me. So he has to get the glory. Remember who gave you the title. The word said God will make your name great, not your title. And when he talks to me, he don't call me Elder Gerald. He don't call me Elder Michelle. He says Michelle. And that's what I answer to. So remember, and it's according to his word, your name, not your title. But since he gave you the title, make sure he gets the glory. Because just like he gave it to you, he can take it from you. And I don't ever want to make shame God or my leader, Bishop David L. Baxter Jr. I don't ever want to make them shame. So I try to honor my title and stay on the level that I should be on. Remembering that that title elder don't make me better than you. I'm just a vessel that God is choosing to use at this moment. And since I'm available and he's using me, I'm going to take every opportunity that I have to give him glory so that he can see that his investment in me wasn't in vain. So that last chapter in the book was remembering who gave you the title. Now, how can that become a burden? It can become a burden when you're trying to do it a different way than what God gave you to do it. When you're trying to please people and not God. When you're trying to be who people told you to be and not who God told you to be. That's when it becomes a burden. That's when it becomes baggage. Carrying the baggage of your title because you're not doing it the way you're supposed to be doing it. Because you're trying to people please. That's not why he gave us the title. So remember who gave it to you. And give it honor. So that he can be honored. So that God can be glorified. God can be magnified. He can be edified. And he can be lifted up. Because it's not about us. It never has been. And it never will be. And I say that all the time. It's not about me. And I reflect back on my past. Everything in my past. It wasn't about me. Because guess what? God orchestrated all of that so that I can be on this platform and I can talk to that young lady who's sitting there thinking that she can never get past what she did in her past. That she can never be forgiven. That she can never move forward. So you see, even my past, every struggle, every trial, every bit of tribulation, everything I've gone through, it wasn't about me. It was so that God can use me to help someone else. You never know who you're going to run into on your path, on this journey called life. So just think of it that way. Instead of being like, woe is me and why me? Why not you? Who are you that you can't go through? I had my woe is me moment. Lord, why me? Why I always got to go through this? And that's just that's just a pity party. And I finally had to realize, why not me? I went through it so that I can help someone else. It's not about you. Take your title in whatever position you're in, whether it be in the workplace or whether it be in church. Use your title for what God gave it to you for. And remember that everything you do, even when you're not behind the mic, even when you're not in the pulpit, when you're out in Walmart or you're out in the neighborhood, remember who gave you your title and bring him glory in everything you do. Bring him glory. I'm going to cut and I'm going to talk about this baggage tag. It says, in dropping baggage of being hurt, not thinking I'm good enough. I wrote at the end of this to say it at the end of every show, something to encourage you about not thinking you're enough. That goes back to carrying the thoughts and opinions of other people. It's not yours to carry. Yeah, they hurt you. That ties into two of them. The baggage of carrying people and unforgiveness. Yeah, they hurt you. Let it go. Did you ever stop to think that it was not you? It was not you. Why are you not enough? God says you're enough. We are fearfully and wonderfully made. God says you're enough. So why are you not enough? Because brother so-and-so or sister so-and-so said you weren't? Not so. You don't have to take on the opinions and thoughts of other people. So I say to you, whoever wrote this, I say to you, how do you drop it? Pray. Seek God and say, God, I can't carry this no more. I'm casting this upon you. Give God his word. I'm casting this upon you because your words say, cast it upon you because you care for me. I can't carry this no more. Give God back his word. And say, God, help me to let it go. Help me to forgive. Help me to forgive. I don't want to carry this thing no more. And it's not going to be easy. I'll be lying if I sat here and told you it was going to be a walk in the park and a piece of cake. No, it's going to be hard. You may cry some more every now and again. It may pop up in your mind and you might feel some type of way, and that's okay. We're human. We're not perfect. You're entitled to every feeling and every emotion you have. But what I'm going to tell you, you're not entitled to do, and this is just me. Nobody gave me the authority. I'm giving myself the authority to tell you you're not entitled to carry it for the rest of your life. Let it go. Drop it. And the one person I know that can help you is God, because he's the only one who helped me. God and his word. Let it go. Forgive. It doesn't mean it didn't happen. It doesn't mean that it didn't hurt. Nobody's belittling your pain. But for your own sake, let it go. Let it go. It's not worth it. That's what baggage claim is going to be about. I plan to spend a little bit more time on it each show, so that we can really discuss it. And like I said, I am looking for a studio audience. So if you would like to come and see this tape live and be a part of the studio audience, you can ask questions and I'll be happy to answer your questions. You may be in the studio audience and then want to drop some baggage in the audience, and I'll be able to answer right here. And if I if I don't have the answer then, believe me, I'm going to pray and seek the answer. And if I can't find the answer, if God don't reveal the answer to me, then I know he'll reveal to me where to lead you. So if I don't answer that day, watch the next show. And I'll tell you where you can find the answer. So if you want to be a part of the studio audience, and I hope you do, just email me. Or if you have some baggage that you want me to address on the show, email me at beinspiredmichelle@gmail.com. And I'll pull it right from here. And I'll talk about it. We're going to take a quick break, and then we're going to come back and we're going to close out. Welcome back to the Michelle G Show. We're going to close out, but I just wanted to encourage you, especially after reading that baggage claim tag that was dropped in that box. I just want to encourage you, all of those who are watching, not everybody's going to accept you. Not everybody's going to like you or love you. You're not called to everybody. You're not meant for everybody. And that's okay. It's okay. I don't want you to feel down or feel like you're not enough. Everybody doesn't accept me. And this is how this thing works. And I'll say this briefly, and I'm going to leave you with something that I want you to remember. I can be on the stage, and another elder can be on the stage. There'll be some who will respond to me and receive what I say. And there'll be some that respond and receive what the other elder says. Why? Because there's only certain people who are assigned to me. And there's only certain people who are assigned to them. Everybody's not going to accept me and how I flow. And I'm okay with that. And you need to be okay with that. You are enough because God said you were enough. And if you don't take nothing else from this show, always remember, and this is just something that Michelle G says, and I want you to remember this. You may not be everybody's cup of tea, but you are definitely someone's special brew. So remember that. You're someone's special brew. You're not going to fit everybody's mold, so don't try. I really thank you guys. I have really enjoyed this. This has been quite an experience, and I can't wait for my next show. I am excited already about the next show. Now, the next show, I will have a guest. I'll have Miss Regina Breed coming on, because I need you guys to understand how all this took place with me using my voice. First on the airwaves, and now you guys are seeing me seeing the face behind the voice. Regina Breed, and also the producer of this show, Regina Sunshine Robinson. She had a big part of me being here because she saw in me. God allowed her to see in me what I didn't see in myself. So until the next show, the fourth Monday of June, beginning at 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 5 p.m. to 6 p.m., you can catch me right here, The Michelle G Show. Eye-opening, life-changing, right here on the Regina Sunshine Global Network.